Recording. I'm triple recording, buddy. All right. Little timestamp
Heard
there.
one video. No
Welcome to
outs.
Test
Okay,
Plug.
any,
I know,
any
I got to get that all out of my system.
word whisker. Come on, you should be a better public speaker than this.
No. I don't know what you're talking about. This is my first venture ever into the world of public speaking. So you're all welcome to join me as I fumble my way through this. Today we're talking to Chris Jacobsen of Hiram Woodworking. I think I just figured out how to say the name. I was trying to say it wrong several times now, but I think I got it figured out. How you doing, Chris?
And that I've been saying it wrong for years. I don't know. I pronounce it Woodworking, but
Ah,
it's
going the
it's not a
Japanese route as
normal
opposed to the
English.
Hebrew route.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's a name.
Excellent. So, how are you, sir?
Doing all right. Living life, living the dream.
Figured we'd get some of
Seems
those
to change
post,
each week.
yeah, the post-corona, pre-corona stuff out
Active.
there. We know active corona. Who knows? Somebody might be watching this in the future, and all of that will be solved, and we'll be back to work and back to normal.
They'll be like, I don't know what they were freaking out about. It was all made up by the government anyways, so
Yeah. Well, we'll see how this turns out in the next couple of years on who's on who. So the first question is, how did you start with woodworking?
I've always been a tinkerer, somebody that is trying to fix or modify stuff. My dad grew up the same way, and would he'd do anything from replacing the full engine of his truck to building my brother and I bunk beds to fixing the front door to whatever to rewiring anything he could do. He was an electronics technician by trade, so I learned a little bit of that from him, and then I really got my start in high school in woodshop.
Cool.
I took woodshop, and then I took advanced woodshop, and then I took wood carving, advanced wood carving, and then I started taking that class more and more. I just took it every quarter or semester I could until finally the woodshop teacher just stopped making me do pre-assigned projects, and I could just kind of make up my own thing and do whatever I wanted.
Sweet. So did you have tools at home as well, or was this mostly just stuff you did at school?
It was just at school at that point. Other than that, in high school, I was just skateboarding and going to concerts. So woodworking was just kind of the fun thing I like to do at school.
And why did you choose wood over, let's say, metal or welding or cars and stuff?
I've never had an interest in cars and like mechanical stuff like that. I don't know why. I just, even though, like I said, my dad is so very well versed in so many different things. Literally replaced the engine in his truck twice, the transmission once, like the clutch, everything. Like he had the truck since 1980, and I think he finally got rid of it in '96, and had done all the work on it himself. But I just did.
Yeah,
I didn't like that many moving pieces.
I think we come from a different generation because my dad was a car fixer too, and I'd rather take it into a shop and just have it done.
Yeah, there's certain things I just want to pay a professional to do, and other things I'll fumble through and try and figure out on my own.
Yeah. Have you been in Seattle your whole life then?
I've been in Seattle for 24 years of my 37 years alive, so more or less my whole adult life. Up and down the West Coast my whole life, though. I was born in California, lived in Oregon, lived back in California, and then moved back here. So,
Gotcha. So trees have always been around you, though.
in one form or another, yeah, trees in the West Coast, the ocean in some sort of fashion.
Yeah. What were some of your favorite projects as a kid, or in school, I should say?
Early on in school, I immediately gravitated towards the lathe once I was able to get on it safely. I remember one of the first projects I made was just a mini little 18-inch baseball bat, because why not? It's easy.
Why not?
It's a nice little easy spindle turning project, and who doesn't want to carry around a bat when you're a teenager?
That is the skateboard slash punk thing to do.
Yep. Yep. Keep it in my car or just put it in my backpack if I'm skating somewhere. You never know when someone's going to come after you because you're some punk skater.
Did your mom and dad have like a shelf full of stuff filled up of little Chris projects?
Not really. I don't know where most of them went. I think my mom has, she might still have it. I need to ask her for it. But I sent her a wood carving of a mushroom house that was maybe about 12 inches tall. And we rough cut out the shape of it and then actually did chip carving on the whole face to make it look like a little mushroom house. It was one of the first projects we had in wood carving, and I think she still has it. She put it on one of the doors in her house at one point.
Nice, nice. I know I've seen a lot of your work, and some of the preview reel showed some of that. But you definitely have mastered on some things. Still learning, I know, but it seems like it's going to actually be something that you could maybe even, I guess you're teaching some classes coming up soon.
I was hopeful to teach some classes. I got the opportunity to hopefully do something with the Pratt Art Institute here in Seattle,
Oh, that's cool.
doing remote learning because of the whole COVID-19 shutdown of everything. They're not able to even open their wood shop right now,
Oh, wow.
even small classes, let alone to let people that rent the space use it. But so far the attendance has been sporadic. So my first class got canceled because there wasn't enough attendance to make it worth it. But regardless, in the future, I definitely want to do some sort of teaching with regards to woodworking and or wood turning specifically.
Nice, nice. So let's start with that then. What do you think people need as far as space or tools to get started on something like this?
I think as far as wood turning goes,
Well,
you
woodworking in general, you could start with that.
uh, I would say first you need the passion for it. That's what restarted me, I should say. It was about 4 or 5 years ago. I was working just a construction job, and a friend that I was working with, his dad, who was in his 80s, couldn't stand long enough to be at his lathe,
Right.
so he was selling it. And I was like, oh, I remember liking wood turning in high school. That was, that was a while ago, but if the price is right, I'd like to get it. And I did. And that was where it all started. I didn't even have a shop. I tucked it under our stairs behind our house so it would stay
Yeah.
out of the rain. But I would pull it out into the yard and pull out an extension cord and just do it in the middle of our yard and throw the wood shavings everywhere and, mow them up later or just leave them.
Right, right. Something for your dogs to play in.
Yeah, that didn't make the wife too happy because they're small dogs with lots of fur, and they just roll in the wood shavings, and then it would just Velcro to them. And then they'd come into the house and just sprinkle it all around the house. But oh well, they were outside playing and having fun.
That's what dogs do.
Yeah, yeah.
Where would you say a good place to start um, would be? Like classes, or I know that some of the wood places in town offer some stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know what's currently being offered because of the
Right,
coronavirus
where we are.
and where we're at in society right now with the unknown of this virus. But I do know that locally here in Seattle, we have a Rockler woodworking store and a Woodcraft woodworking store, and they sporadically will do classes, small classes, or somebody could rent the space and teach a class as well.
That's pretty cool.
And I know that there's plenty of opportunities with the local wood turning clubs or local woodworking clubs where maybe you could do a one-off session with a member of the club and use them as a mentor even.
Oh,
and be able to either do it at their shop if they feel comfortable and you take the right precautions, or find another space to do it.
nice, nice. So, what's your favorite type of wood to carve on?
Carve on. I'll
Well,
I'll think
to
turn
turn
on.
or to,
Yeah.
yeah.
I love locust wood. It's not a common wood that a lot of people hear, but it's got a lot of really neat grain in it. It's got a lot of the patterns go kind of all over the place. It's semi easy to find here in the Northwest. So it's and there's a black locust and a honey locust style, and so the colors in it vary greatly. The honey locust has like reds and almost a little orangish yellows to it, and then the black locust has like dark browns, light browns, and like yellows in it.
Awesome. Is it a harder wood or a softer wood?
It's hard.
Oh, really?
It's
Okay.
very hard. It's more fun to turn when it's green or wet. If it's just
Okay.
recently been cut down, if you're cutting it when it's dry, you're going to be sharpening your tools a lot more, and it's going to be tough.
Gotcha. Now I know some of your times have changed a little bit because of working situation, but what are some future projects you have as far as for turning or stuff
Uh,
you'd like to get into, maybe even?
I definitely, right before my job change recently, I started getting into doing basket weave illusion bowls.
Oh,
So they're kind of, you use a solid piece of wood and then you mark out the lines on it, burn those, and then burn them vertically so it actually looks like a basket,
hmm,
the outside or the inside, or you can do both, and then you can do different styles and patterns in it.
nice,
So that's something I kind of have gravitated towards recently that I want to continue to do a little more of.
nice, nice. Um, have you had any? I know you haven't overly tried to sell your stuff like at a show or anything like that, but where have you found the best market for advertising for products and stuff like that?
I couldn't tell you. I don't directly advertise. If anything, it's mostly just through word of mouth. Or somebody will see a piece that I've made and
Yeah,
either want me to make that piece for them or they'll want to buy that piece specifically. But I haven't, like you said, I haven't tried to actively go to craft shows or set up a booth somewhere to be able to sell my wares. I just haven't made enough of them to be able to have a enough quantity.
right. I know in the past you've made some cutting boards and thing like that, and some stuff like that, or even some countertops. Is that something that you'd like to continue doing, or would you like to just hone it more towards the turning?
I'll make anything if it's made out of wood. It's fun. I'm always making the cutting board here and there for a friend. They're perfect little housewarming gifts or gifts for somebody for a special occasion. So that's usually I'll get asked by my wife, "Hey, so and so's got this anniversary coming up, or they moved and they need a cutting board." So it's a good excuse to go into the shop and glue some wood
Nice.
together.
What would you say is the cost versus the enjoyment of woodworking?
I think the enjoyment outweighs anything. I mean, it can you can spend anywhere from a couple $100 to get started, or you can spend tens of thousands of dollars to get all the tools that you want.
Right.
But ultimately, if you can enjoy making something with your bare hands and making something a piece that's a one of a kind thing that somebody's going to enjoy forever, then the cost of that is nominal as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. That's awesome. Um, do you see this as like a thing that you can pass on to, like, I know you don't have any children right now, but like, is that something you've thought of too? Is like how to pass this on to future generations? I guess with the classes, that's a little bit of that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a nephew who's 9 who right now all he wants to do is play on his Nintendo Switch and ride his bike with his friends. So very, very similar to yourself, even though just a few years younger. But
Yeah.
I'm even reaching out to friends' kids and trying to see, just gauge their interest. Because if they're not interested in it, then
Yeah.
it's not something you can force. But
Right.
sooner or later, they're gonna have that desire to do something manual with their hands.
Yeah.
And if they're there, then I'd like to be able to take that opportunity. And that's where sometimes the classes or the one-on-one teaching sessions can be. I when we were able to go to the wood turning clubs that in in our area, our club meets once a month. Now we do it over Zoom, but
Right.
before in person, I would go and I would literally be the youngest person by
Oh wow.
30 plus years. And so seeing that activity in the club and seeing so many years of knowledge, but
Right.
nobody even our age and especially younger learning that, it's definitely something that I want to help, keep that craft alive. Even though I'm not old, and when I said it once, one of the older guys kind of laughed at me and made me feel like I was their age because I got to keep this craft alive. These young kids these days don't know what it's like, you know.
Well, I think with some of the like the Nick Offerman, and I know a lot of there's some other celebrities that are kind of sowing their um, woodworking skills now to the world. Um, it does seem like it's something that there's a little bit of a resurgence of people doing some handcrafting and things like that.
Yeah, and I even think that this opportunity of being less able to be able to do stuff outside or go and do things, if you're stuck in the house, you're going to want to do something, and still everyone has a way of being creative in some way. They're going to find
Right,
that
right.
way, whether it's through sewing or knitting, woodworking. You could even do small resin crafts in the house, stuff that
Start a
doesn't.
podcast.
Yeah, start a podcast, start a YouTube channel. You can do it all now, all from the comfort of your home, and you don't even have to invest a lot of tools. So that's kind
Yeah.
of something fun that even my wife has gotten into recently, is just doing little resin crafting crafts and making little things here and there.
That's actually a good segue. I noticed you had some projects that you'd made where you'd made some globes and things like that out of resin. Is that harder to do than actually working with wood, or?
It's it's not any harder or more difficult to work as a material. It takes a little more to polish it up, a little more
Right.
to kind of prepare the wood sometimes. Because depending on what you're doing with the resin and how deep you're pouring it, you may need other tools for it. And you want to make sure your wood is dry. Resin usually doesn't work well with moisture. So that
Ah,
can be a challenge sometimes. But ultimately, you can kind of have fun with it. Fail,
nice,
fail
nice.
with it even. I have plenty of all my failures. I'm looking around and seeing multiple just in front of me, like ones where you're like, I tried to do this, but it didn't work out that well because there's all these wormholes in it. But
Looks
it's
great
still
from
cool
here.
looking.
Yeah,
So sure, now it's a
nice.
paperweight.
A round roll off the desk paperweight.
Well, it's got two friends that sit on a giant piece of log, but
Ah, okay.
it does nothing but collect dust. But it's cool looking dust.
Hey, dust has to go somewhere. Well, is there any questions you had for me or for what test plug um, is heading in, or how? I'm just rambling at this point. So
Well, that's because test plug doesn't know where test plug is going, and
there is definitely some truth to that.
that's kind of the fun part of it is you could take this in so many different directions. And your background, you have so many different things that you've done over the years, different crafts that you've gotten into and different stuff that you've been able to build and and work on and modify, that the scope of your audience is going to be really eclectic, I think. And that's going to be great because you're going to bring different people to see things that maybe they wouldn't know that they were interested in until they get introduced to it.
Yeah. I have some interviews lined up for some people from Russia. I have a lot of different toy makers, a lot of bootleg action figure makers, several different artists. I'm looking to also maybe interview some music artists too. I know it's not your forte anymore, but there was a time where you used to jam out like.
I still listen to music and love music. Music is the thing that will never go away with me, just because
Yeah,
I'm not actively playing in bands anymore doesn't mean that
that's true. That's true.
music isn't something that I love. Like during my lunch breaks recently, because I'm at an office half the time, I just fired up YouTube, and most of the woodworking videos I want to watch are too long.
Right.
So I try to find something shorter. I started watching this guy who's got, I don't even know how many hundreds of thousands of subscribers, but each video he'll just break down a random song and
Oh,
tell
nice.
you how that song is so great and pick out pieces of the song, like this is why this vocal part is so good, this drum part, and like and stereo them out and single them out, and it's like 10 or 15 minutes long, and I'm just like, this is great. Yes, I already love this song, but now I know even more why it's even better. So
Nice, nice. Well, I've just figured out how I'm going to do the like and subscribe thing. I'm not going to do it. You're going to do it. So I'm going to ask our guests.
there you go. Yeah, because then you don't have to sound stupid. They can sound stupid,
Bingo.
and then you don't have to worry about it. And then you get so many
Right.
different ways of people saying like and subscribe and smash that like button and love this video, comment on everything.
With dubstep dropping in the background and explosions. I'm going to add some big explosions.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah,
that sounds
fire
good.
everywhere and cats with guns, and you can do everything.
Well, lasers, not guns. I mean, come on. This is the 90s.
It's not the 90s.
In my head, it still is and will always be.
Well, that's because we are children of the 90s.
That is true. That is true. All right. Well, Chris Jacobsen. I can't say your name right. Let's start that again. Well, Chris Jacobsen, it's been nice interviewing you. I'd like to see some projects coming up. I know I'm going to be asking for some help with some resin casting in the near future. But we'll see a lot more of you. Thanks for watching Test Plug. Now you do the like and subscribe.
I already did it. You got to cut the one I did earlier and out, and then no, I got to do it again. This is where everyone needs to like and subscribe and love Test Plug, because Test is amazing. And if you don't comment on this video, then I'm going to think you don't like me and you don't like Test Plug. And we don't
See,
like that.
that was so much better. All right, Chris, thanks for hanging out with me. Catch you on the flip.
Bye.